Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Fusion Deck User in a different Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 131, Hikaru Amagi? Cyrus had never seen elemental hero Stratos before. When he saw Aster Phoenix Fusion summon a monster with the same attack as Flame Wingman, he felt relieved. Elemental heroes, huh? I'm pretty familiar with those. He glanced at his set card. It was the trap card, Magic Cylinder. A powerful trap that could negate an attack and deal damage equal to that monster's attack. With that on the field, I normal summon elemental hero Stratos. Aster glanced at the facedown card and revealed the hero in his hand. Come on, Stratos! Whoosh! Accompanied by a strong gust of wind, a Stratos unlike the one in Jaden's memories appeared on the field. Elemental Hero Stratos, Level 4 WIND Warrior 1800 ATK. Damn, it really is Stratos. Cyrus is in danger. Monster effect activates, Aster said calmly. When Elemental Hero Stratos is normal or special summoned, I can choose one of two effects to activate. 1. Add one hero monster from my deck to my hand. 2. Destroy spells or traps on the field up to the number of other hero monsters I control. Ha! I destroy the opponent's facedown card. A fierce wind blew past, lifting Cyrus's trap card and revealing its true identity. Magic Cylinder, huh? Aster thought that was too obvious. This student was evidently waiting to bait an attack. Whoa, what a strong monster. Bastion and Chaz on the platform were stunned by the effect Aster just announced. Even though no mighty elemental heroes were circulating on the market, their duelist instincts told them this was an outrageous card. Searching for any hero? And even blowing up back row if needed? Plus, a base attack of 1800? Battle. Phoenix Enforcer, attack. Phoenix Enforcer leapt up and kicked Truckroid, in a flash of fire, shattering it. Next, Stratos attacked directly, Aster said with a hint of boredom. Wah! Stratos howled like a storm, blasting Cyrus off the ground, his hair now disheveled. Cyrus, LP, 2200. You alright, senpai? Aster waved theatrically. I am fine. Cyrus scrambled up when Aster addressed him, coughed once, and laughed loudly as if nothing happened. Aster raised an eyebrow. He nonchalantly set a card, then I set a card and end my turn. Ha! Cyrus coughed again, brushed off the dust, and took on a commander-like pose. He placed his hand on his deck. Freshman, don't think this gives you the upper hand. A duelist can do anything. Aster nodded lightly. He agreed with that theory. But, you gotta show something first. This is bad. Jaden watched the duel and couldn't help shaking his head. Cyrus hasn't realized it yet. Not only that, he seems to be getting reckless, Bastion said awkwardly. Cyrus drew a card. In this case, if he attacked with Submarinoroid and used its effect to go into defense position, then waited for follow-ups, he might have had a safer play. Even so, he couldn't back down in front of a freshman. Rookie, watch closely. Our Polymerization Club's power activates the spell card, Viacroid Connection Zone. A massive three-way junction suddenly appeared on the field, and three different vehicles drove in from three directions. This is a fusion spell card exclusively for Viacroids, he said excitedly. I send fusion materials listed on a Viacroid fusion monster from my hand or field to the graveyard, and fusion summon one from the extra deck. The monsters summoned this way can't be destroyed by card effects, and its effects cannot be negated. I fuse Steamroid, Drillroid, and Submarinoroid. Fusion summon, Super Viacroid Jumbo Drill. With his shout, the three different roids raced toward the center of the junction. Accompanied by mechanical noises, The robots combined into a massive drill that burst from underground. Super Viocroid Jumbo Drill, Level 8 Earth Machine 3000 ATK. Whoa, a monster with attack equal to Blue Eyes White Dragon! Jaden exclaimed. But Chaz shook his head. Too bad he didn't hear our earlier conversation, otherwise, he'd know Phoenix Enforcer can't be destroyed by battle. Bastion nodded regretfully. Well, it makes sense. Cyrus probably didn't recognize Aster as a pro duelist. Thinking he was the more experienced one is understandable, I guess. Even though the duel hadn't gone further yet, everyone could see where it was headed. No helping it, Cyrus was at too much of a disadvantage. Battle! Jumbo Drill, attack Phoenix Enforcer! Cyrus roared in excitement. Aster glanced at his face-down card. Forget it. Boom! Aster, LP, 3100. As the smoke cleared, Phoenix Enforcer still stood on the field. Huh? Why? Elemental Hero Phoenix Enforcer's effect, it can't be destroyed by battle. Ah! Aster sighed internally. He couldn't help feeling like this was a waste of time. If Senpai has no further plays, then it's my turn. Draw. He glanced at the card. Sparkman? Alright then, once again, I activate the spell card, Polymerization. I fused the Phoenix Enforcer on the field with Elemental Hero Sparkman in my hand. Ah! That fusion material, Jaden recognized it right away. Come on. Aster pointed to the ground. Fusion Summon. Elemental Hero Shining Phoenix Enforcer. Countless armor plates gathered under the crackle of lightning and merged onto Phoenix Enforcer, transforming into plated gear that equipped him. Elemental Hero Shining Phoenix Enforcer, Level 8 FIR Warrior 2500 ATK. Shining Phoenix Enforcer, don't tell me, he's like Shining Flare Wingman. Cyrus's face turned grim. You guessed right, Senpai. Shining Phoenix Enforcer gains 300 attack for each elemental hero in the graveyard. Ah! Crap! No need to count. Cyrus knew it already outclassed his Jumbo Drill by a lot. Cyrus, LP, 2200. Wah! With two heroes attacking, Cyrus was swiftly defeated, flattened beneath the dual projection. Aster sighed. On the other side, Jaden rushed over shouting, Cyrus, are you okay? Jadine. Cyrus was teary-eyed. He never imagined losing so badly to a freshman. Can't be helped. After all, your opponent is Aster Phoenix. Aster Phoenix? Cyrus looked over at Aster, who was fixing his uniform without a hint of embarrassment, no shame at all for beating his senior. Chaz, Hikaru, you said his name is Aster Phoenix? What? Aster's hand froze as he packed his bag. Hikaru? Amaji Hikaru? Ha? Chapter 132, Facing Off Against a Pro Duelist. For just a moment, Aster Phoenix's thoughts hit a brief snag. As someone world famous, even called the fourth greatest duelist in the world by Maximilian Pegasus himself, Aster Phoenix never lacked for composure or insight. And precisely because he had both, when Cyrus called out Hikaru, and the others referred to that person as Hikaru, Aster immediately realized. Crap! Did I just duel the wrong guy? Hikaru! Bastion! On the other side, Dimitri, who had been watching the duel, burst into laughter at Cyrus's inability to beat a freshman and quickly ran over, pointing at Aster, who was trying to blend into the background. He's the freshman who just came to check out the Fusion Club and said he might join us in the future. Ha? Seriously? Bastion and Chaz cried out in shock. Was their Fusion Club really that well known? Even someone like Aster Phoenix, a pro duelist, was interested in joining? Aster forced a polite, though awkward, smile, the so-called professional smile, a default expression for senior pro duelists like him. Hikaru noticed the badge pinned to Aster's chest. It was an alchemically made badge that Hikaru had rushed to craft overnight upon hearing of the exchange event. It didn't have any special powers, just mildly enhanced spirit compatibility, but only for low-tier spirits. It was designed simply to identify members of the Fusion Club. And this guy had pinned it onto his blazer? Even Hikaru was baffled. Could it be that this world's version of Aster really was here to check out the Fusion Club? He remembered that in canon, Aster came to the island because Sartorius divined that someone there would make him stronger. That person was Jaden Yuki, or so it was. As for Sartorius himself, because he had been possessed by the light of destruction and its waves of light, he developed a second personality and eventually walked the path of world destruction. Although not blood-related, Aster and Sartorius were sworn brothers, and Aster had long been searching for his father's killer with Sartorius's help, while Sartorius believed Aster could save him from his destined ruin. But, considering that in this world, darkness had already been defeated early on, who knows what the light of destruction might have been up to in places Hikaru hadn't seen? After all, even now, Hikaru still had no clue what exactly caused the spirit world collapse that every dual monster spirit had experienced. Of course, there was another possibility. In Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc-V, Aster Phoenix joined Duel Academy and even became the supreme commander of the Fusion Army. Maybe he was just really into fusion. So in that world, he joined the Fusion Army, and in this one, he simply found his way to the Fusion Club and became a member? Hikaru thought it over for a while and found it quite plausible. Ha ha. Looks like all my efforts in building up the Fusion Club, even stealing the Polymerization Club's shine, have paid off. Hikaru greeted Aster, his face stiff with a forced smile. It was the best he could manage. Not greeting him wasn't an option either, a duelist had to stay true to their word, no way could he flip-flop so easily. Just then, Aster's phone rang, he bowed halfway toward the students, then hurried off to take the call. Probably a parent, huh? Or maybe a manager? Pro duelists sure are busy. Aster ducked into a corner, looked at the caller ID, and finally let out a long sigh of relief. Hello? Sartorius, he answered, his tone tinged with rare frustration. Aster, how's the duel on the island? Sartorius's gentle voice came through the phone. The irritation Aster had felt was forcefully swallowed down. He looked back toward Jaden and Cyrus, his face twisting between embarrassment and disbelief. Don't even ask. It was, ugh. Disappointed? By now, Aster had overheard enough to realize that Cyrus was this year's Fusion Club representative, meaning he was the top freshman in Leo Akaba's faction. Top student? That guy? Honestly, Aster had been polite. When he saw Cyrus charge in recklessly, he'd almost activated his set card to win without taking any LP damage. However, he thought that might be too harsh on a regular student. He'd come to scout, after all, so he held back. Of course, if Sartorius had told him to go all out, he wouldn't have played it like that. Still, the fact that this was the Fusion Club's best freshman left him a little dizzy. Why did they want me to go to that place? Leo Akaba should have sent someone to find you, Sartorius continued. They said they would take you to his Fusion Army. But judging from the reading I just did, you might have already encountered someone who can change your fate. What? Aster looked at Dimitri. No way. Then at Cyrus. No. Could it be? He glanced over at Hikaru, Jaden, and Chaz. One of them, maybe? Though thinking about his current mess, he decided to put that aside and said, "No, Sartorius, listen, things here are a bit complicated." Sartorius sounded puzzled. What's so complicated? Find the Fusion Club. Join the Fusion Club. Seek enemies. Duel. Win. All very straightforward. Aster noticed a group of students in purple uniforms approaching and hurriedly added, Sartorius, I'll explain everything when I get back. I can't talk about it here. All right. The Fusion Army reps had already spotted Aster and began cheering. Found him. Aster Phoenix. Cyrus is here too. As expected from Cyrus, he found the elusive Aster Phoenix so easily. Everyone turned to look. Besides the Fusion Army members, the group also included several tall adults not in uniform but adorned with impressive medals, clearly people of status. There were also two very tall, rather curvy girls with odd hairstyles, one blonde, one silver-haired, running over to join them. Pro-Fusion Army graduates? Hikaru figured it out instantly. Since other pro-duelists and corporate staff were allowed to visit, it made sense that the Fusion Army could, too. What do you guys want with me? Aster asked, forcing the question out. It wasn't that he cared about appearances, it was just that, at this point, he had already talked with Fusion Club members, even taken a badge from Dimitri. There was no way he could now run off and say, fooled ya. That'd be idiotic. And totally unbecoming of a duelist. Aster Phoenix, come with us. The professor should have already contacted you, right? One of the pro-duelists said casually. Hey! Jaden jumped in front of Aster. You Polymerization Club guys are too much. Trying to steal a student who hasn't even enrolled yet? Yeah. Chaz snapped, equipping his dual disc. Don't think you can do whatever you want in front of our Fusion Club. Aster covered his face. What was this? He only came for a casual visit. You again. One of the Fusion Army members recognized Hikaru and the others and flinched, but seeing pro-duelists and even Fusion Army elite warriors around them, they steeled their courage and said, you better not think this is like before. Aster Phoenix's manager personally contacted our professor, he's joining us. Really? Jaden looked at Aster in disbelief. Doesn't seem that way at all. Besides, he's already agreed to join our Fusion Club. Chaz added. Hearing this, the Fusion Army members went pale. They had no idea about any deal between Sartorius and Leo Akaba, all they knew was the professor had arranged something with Aster's manager. Aster's own wishes? They were clueless. I get it now. Hikaru's eyes narrowed as he stepped forward. This all makes sense. Aster, you love fusion, don't you? So you wanted to join a fusion-related club at the academy. Your manager helped arrange it? Yeah. At this point, there was no way to say no. Aster could barely breathe. Meanwhile, Hikaru felt like all the pieces had clicked into place. He understood it. All of it. So, if everything had gone according to plan, Aster in this world would have joined the Polymerization Club because of his love for fusion, proven himself, earned Leo Akaba's trust, become the Fusion Army's supreme commander, and eventually invaded the XYZ dimension, everything connected. Which meant they could not let the Polymerization Club take him away. Not for any reason. This commander absolutely could not be stolen. Without him, how would they fight in the Dimension Wars? I, Amaji Hikaru, will never allow a duelist who loves fusion to be deceived. Hikaru equipped his dual disc decisively. He has to understand the difference between our Fusion Club and your Polymerization Club and choose for himself. Again with this? Always with this, Amaji Hikaru. The Fusion Army members were fuming. Suddenly, a burst of clear laughter echoed. Ha ha ha, the two nearly identical girls laughed in sync. The blonde, seemingly the elder sister, said, "We'd heard that Amaji Hikaru from the main academy was a real headache for professors. Seeing it in person, it's actually kinda fun," the silver-haired younger sister added. Them. Were they the Tyler sisters from Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V, the Fusion Army's infamous twins? Hikaru finally recognized them. In that case, Senpai, why not settle this the way he likes best? The two spoke in unison, glancing at a medal-wearing adult in their group who appeared to be in his 20s. Fine. Amaji Hikaru, let's do it your way, a duel, he said, casually taking a Fusion Army dual disc that looked more like a sword. Even though I'm a pro-duelist, today's an exchange day, right? What do you say? A pro-duelist challenging a student? Interesting. Chaz scoffed. Sure, I'd like to see what level you Fusion Army pros are at, Hikaru said, unfazed. Aster was already dialing Sartorius, hoping for a new reading. Could he skip this academy? Sartorius didn't answer. Probably busy. Aster let out a long sigh. Forget it. A duelist of destiny, huh? He looked over at Hikaru, preparing to duel. Leo Akaba's thorn in the side. That absolute fusion duelist known far and wide. Interesting. If Amaji Hikaru could really beat a pro duelist, then joining the Fusion Club wouldn't be so bad. Let's duel. Chapter 133, Fusion Restriction Zone. I'll be taking the first turn. Hikaru really wanted to grab the first move, but facing a pro duelist, the opponent's hand speed was clearly faster. Before Hikaru could even shout, the other side had already drawn a card. Seeing this, Hikaru didn't mind too much. After dueling so many times in this world, he no longer cared as much about going first or second. After all, duels here aren't the same as in the OCG. Max, LP, 4000, Amaji Hikaru, LP, 4000. What kind of duel will a pro duelist put on? Bastion felt a cold sweat trickle down his forehead. This isn't a joke match anymore. That pro is going all out. The three from the main cast already had a clear understanding of the Fusion Club's ways. Seeing a pro duelist from the Fusion Army show up, they knew this wouldn't be some casual match like when Aster showed up and didn't even set a card. Even Aster was quietly watching the duel now, having stayed behind instead of leaving early as planned. Though this duel didn't have any stakes and was essentially just a sparring match to show the new freshmen around, Aster understood the situation far better than the surrounding students. Pro duelists are a different breed from normal duelists. This difference wasn't just about strength. Honestly, there probably isn't a single pro duelist who would dare challenge Seto Kaiba. The difference here is in mindset. Pro duelists have only one identity, duelist. Meanwhile, ordinary duelists often have other roles besides being a duelist. At a glance, it seems like the former is purer, but in reality, it's the opposite. Pro duelists are the less pure ones, because ultimately, they all have only one goal, money. Even though Aster didn't become a pro duelist for money, he did it to travel the world and hunt down his father's killer using the status of a pro. He still understood that pro duelists are never truly pure. My turn. At that instant, Max, Fusion Army's pro duelist with the Tyler sisters, had already drawn his card. Looking at his hand, the corners of his mouth curled upward. I normal summon Alien Warrior. With a chilling screech, a humanoid creature dragged its claws across the ground as it appeared on the field. Alien Warrior, Level 4 Earth Reptile 1800 ATK. Reptile? That's a rare type. Bastion said, surprised. Yeah, not many people run reptile decks. Chaz nodded. Then, I set 2 cards and end my turn. Max's first turn was so short that the surrounding spectators hadn't even reacted before his turn ended. Ha! That's it, a student from the Fusion Army asked in confusion. Quiet. A blonde girl spoke with a hand on her hip and a smile on her face. The duel's just begun. The real show is still ahead. That's right, her silver-haired sister added. The students from the Fusion Army awkwardly fell silent. After all, the pair speaking were the Tyler sisters from the American Branch campus, well-known elite members of their own Fusion Army. Though their own club was newly founded, it had already gained a strong reputation thanks to the sisters' leadership, and compared to the Polymerization Club that had spent this year constantly taking LS, these girls had every right to talk down. There were even rumors they'd be transferring to this main campus next year, so in terms of standing, none of the boys dared to argue. The older sister was Gloria Tyler, and the younger one was Grace Tyler. Gloria had blonde hair and a sterner presence, while Grace appeared gentler. Their outfits were nearly identical, differing only in sleeves, glove color, and Gloria's pants and boots versus Grace's skirt over leggings. It was clear from just their clothing that they were a cut above the typical Fusion Army member, true elites. Even this pro duelist accompanying them wasn't the main event. He was likely here just to escort the sisters on their tour of the main academy. More precisely, to observe Amaji Hikaru. My turn. Hikaru drew a card, immediately revealing one from his hand. I activate the spell card, Instant Fusion. I pay 1,000 life points. Amaji Hikaru, LP, 4,000 3,000. Naive. Max sneered, flipping a trap card. Continuous trap, non-fusion area. Hikaru's brow twitched. As long as this card remains on the field, neither player can conduct fusion summons. Max declared with a cruel grin. That's dirty. Cyrus shouted first. You know Hikaru loves fusion, and you play this kind of card. Captain, this affects both sides. We can't fuse either, one fusion army student said excitedly. Ugh. Cyrus was at a loss. Looks like that pro-duelist came fully prepared for Hikaru, Bastion muttered, his expression grim. He also built counter-strategies for individual students. That said, now that he was focusing on a Chemicritter deck, he wouldn't consider using that kind of card. Damn, if fusion summoning is blocked. Jaden looked at Hikaru with concern. Your deck is. Hikaru raised his eyebrow. Ha ha ha, what now, Hikaru? Tiara popped up next to him. Wanna use my cards? She snickered, conjuring a tiny demon floating beside him. Seeing her, Aster finally realized, the dual spirit he saw when arriving on the island was actually Hikaru's. Destiny, huh? As if I'd use that. Hikaru casually dismissed her. Besides, one copy of Permise won't help. He cleared his throat and declared, then I set a monster and one back row card. Turn end. Not so fast. Max activated another card. Quick play spell, Mystical Space Typhoon. It destroys one spell or trap on the field. I destroy your set card. Hikaru raised a brow as his set trap flipped open. Flame Swords Dance. Cyrus exclaimed. But that card won't help here, right? Dimitri frowned. Ha ha, my turn. Draw Battle Alien Warrior attacks your set monster. Back at you, naive. Hikaru roared. From the graveyard, I activate Flame Swords Dance. During your battle phase, I can banish it to tribute one face-down defense position monster on my field, then special summon one, Flame Swordsman, or a monster that lists it by name from my deck or extra deck. Ha! Cyrus tilted his head. But isn't it just Dark Flare? Isn't that a fusion? Wrong! Hikaru shouted. This is not a fusion summon. It's a special summon of a fusion monster. Come forth, it's been too long, Dark Flare Knight. Black fire blazed forth, tinged with gold as a familiar figure emerged, blade in hand, standing before Hikaru. Dark Flare Knight, level 60 RK Warrior 2200 ATK. He actually bypassed the non-fusion area and special summoned a fusion monster? Gloria gasped. Grace smiled in delight. How interesting. Fusion monsters can be summoned like that, too? Max looked embarrassed, his earlier confidence shattered. He stood frozen like a wooden plank, coughing a few times to mask the awkwardness. Battle take back. I won't continue attacking. Nice job, Hikaru. Chaz cheered him on. Amazing. That's our Hikaru, even when fusion sealed, he still pulls out fusion monsters. Hikaru smirked, glanced at Aster, and declared, there are no limits to fusion. Let me prove that to you. Some puny fusion lock can't stop fusion itself. Chapter 134, Beyond Expectations. Ha! Max looked at his hand and raised an eyebrow. I'll admit, bypassing non-fusion area and special summoning a fusion monster directly is impressive. Still, how many times can you actually pull that off? Besides, even without non-fusion area, you think you can beat me? And that's not all. I also leave this on the field, continuous spell card, Code A Ancient Ruins. He slotted a continuous spell into his dual disc. Behind him, a massive gate appeared, inscribed with strange, unreadable symbols leading to a glowing path. Turn end. Aster Phoenix blinked. Max? That name sounded impressive, but in the pro circuits, he'd never encountered this person. Or rather, this guy had too few win streaks to ever cross Aster's path. Though that was to be expected. The pro-dueling scene was full of counterplay, one misstep and you'd be swarmed by a mob of pros out for blood. Aster constantly changed decks to hide his true one, so few ever succeeded in countering him, and that alone allowed him to maintain his undefeated streak in the pro circle. Even so, he knew how cutthroat pro-dueling was. Every pro duelist wasn't in it for victory or belief. They played for sponsors and for money. So they had only two options. Either ensure they didn't lose, or make sure the opposing company's representative lost hard. Between those two, the latter was far easier. That's why building a deck entirely to counter a single opponent became the pro's unspoken rule. According to Leo Akaba, Amaki Hikaru was a duelist who specialized in fusion and sought its ultimate form, thus, a pro stuffing their deck full of fusion hate cards against him? Entirely expected. And yet, Aster looked at Dark Flare Knight. Despite fusion being locked down, he still summoned a fusion monster. Impressive. Aster had to admit it, at least to himself. And only a student, just an ordinary kid, Hikaru's pursuit and mastery of fusion was far purer than the so-called pro from the fusion army. Wait. No. Why was I so distracted thinking about this? He shook his head. Sartorius, why didn't you divine this encounter for me? Who needs fortune-telling in duels, anyway? Non-fusion area I get, but what's with that ruin whatever? Chaz looked at Bastion. Even if you ask me. Bastion looked a bit awkward. I've heard that pros often use niche decks that aren't easy to counter. Maybe it's one of those. Bastion knew practically nothing about them. Reptile decks were rare, none of them had ever seen one in action. Plus, the school never actually covered such cards, and regardless, someone as studious as Bastion had limits, he couldn't study every obscure archetype. In fact, Hikaru figured this out in his time. Most veteran players wouldn't immediately recall how the alien archetype worked. Remembering Alien City alone was already impressive. That's one advantage of obscure decks against meta ones, intel superiority. Hikaru shrugged, then looked at his hand. That card is a support spell for the alien archetype. Wait, alien is an actual archetype? What? I thought it was just a reptile one-off. Hikaru figured they'd say that and kept placing cards on his duel disk. Code Ancient Ruins has this effect: every time a face-up alien monster is destroyed, place an A counter on it. Then, once per turn, you can remove 2 A counters from anywhere on the field to revive an alien monster from the graveyard. Whoa, Hikaru knows even that? Cyrus exclaimed. The Tyler sisters turned to a fusion army soldier. The soldier clenched his fists, a bit deflated. I hate to admit it, but Hikaru's always like this. He says to master fusion, he has to understand all the cards. That's the only way to reach the end of fusion. How interesting, sister. Guess things won't be boring at the main campus. I activate the spell card, Fusion Conscription. Hikaru casually placed another card. This allows me to reveal a fusion monster from my extra deck, then add one of its listed fusion materials from my deck or graveyard to my hand. Afterward, I can't normal or special summon that monster or monsters with the same name for the rest of the turn, nor activate their effects. I reveal Gladiator Beast Gizzerus and add Gladiator Beast Darius to my hand. Gladiator Beasts? Max laughed. Forget that we fusion army folks discovered those in the first place. But with that restriction, Darius is deadweight if you can't normal summon him. Plus, non-fusion area is still on the field. Hikaru raised an eyebrow. Clearly, this guy didn't understand fusion at all. Battle, Dark Flare Knight, attack alien warrior. Dark Flare Knight swung his sword down on the bizarre alien creature. Max, LP, 4,000-3,600. When alien warrior is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, place 2 A counters on the monster that destroyed it. And don't forget, Ancient Ruins also gets 1 A counter. Drip. A glowing rune lit up on the ruins, while Dark Flare Knight suddenly became encircled by 2 black spheres. My lord. The knight winced as he tried burning them off. This feels sinister. 2 A counters? Bastion spotted the issue. I see. That means every turn, the opponent can use Ruin's effect to revive an alien from the graveyard. And still get an extra counter in the process. Haha, that's right. This is the power of alien invaders, immortal warriors from beyond the stars. Max burst into laughter. Hikaru raised an eyebrow. I activate the spell card, Metamorphosis. No wasted words. I tribute one monster on the field to special summon a fusion monster of the same level from my extra deck. Take a break, Flare. As you command, my lord. Dark Flare Knight hurled off the sticky spheres before vanishing. In his place, a blazing phoenix soared onto the field. Special summon, Crimson Sunbird. Crimson Sunbird, level 6 FIRA Winged Beast 2300 ATK. Whoa! Awesome! He dodged the counter effect and summoned another fusion monster? The Tyler sisters exchanged surprised glances. TCH, Max growled. Again with these fusion monsters that don't need actual fusion. He was starting to sweat. This was not how he imagined things would go at all. Chapter 135, Fusion to the very end. I set one card and end my turn. Hikaru glanced at his hand and set a card before looking at his opponent. Oof. Max inhaled deeply. He hadn't expected that someone using only fusion like Hikaru could stand toe-to-toe with him even under the effect of non-fusion area. But that didn't mean he was afraid. After all, even without the non-fusion area, he was still a solid duelist. My turn. Draw. He glanced at his hand and laughed. Alright, Amaki Hikaru, let's see what other tricks you've got. I activate the spell card, 8th Cell Recombination Device. He sneered. Looks like your special summon fusion monster, and the trouble you went through to avoid those counters, were all for nothing, he declared. This targets one face-up monster on the field. I send one alien monster from my deck to the graveyard, then place a counters equal to that monster's level on the target. I send Alien Mother to the graveyard, she's level 6. That means your Crimson Sunbird gets 6 counters. Black alien cells surged from the ground, swarming Crimson Sunbird while it tried to escape, yet couldn't avoid the encroaching corruption. 6 counters. What does that actually do? Bastion stared at the fusion monster, now covered in strange biomatter. I don't know, but seeing how confident that pro looks, there must be a hidden effect. Heh, let me show you. Max raised his hand. First, continuous spell code A Ancient Ruins effect. I remove 2 counters from Crimson Sunbird to special summon Alien Mother from the graveyard. Ah! You can even special summon high-level monsters like that? Jaden exclaimed. A strange, otherworldly shriek filled the air as with maniacal laughter, a feminine alien lifeform appeared on Max's field. Alien Mother, level 60 Air Reptile 2300 ATK. Same attack as Crimson Sunbird. I'm not done yet. I remove 2 more counters from Crimson Sunbird to special summon Alien Overlord from my hand. Following the 4-armed Alien Mother came a 6-armed alien behemoth clad in armor that crashed onto the field from space. Alien Overlord, level 60 Air Reptile 2200 ATK. This card can be special summoned by removing 2 counters from the field. He special summoned 2 high-level monsters in one turn? That pro-duelist wasn't bluffing, Chaz muttered in surprise. Still, their ATK is the same as Crimson Sunbird's. Bastion hesitated. Hikaru should be able to survive this turn. Foolish. Max raised his head and laughed. Alien Overlord's effect activates. Once per turn, it places 1 counter on all face-up monsters my opponent controls. Crimson Sunbird, nearly freed from its infestation, was suddenly overwhelmed again as more alien cells burst onto its body. Now it's over. As long as Alien Overlord is on the field, when a monster with counters battles an alien monster, its ATK and def drop by 300 per counter. What? So the counters are not only used for summoning, they also weaken monsters? If this attack goes through, Hikaru loses. Oh ho hoo. The Tyler sisters looked toward Hikaru with intrigue. Was this the end? If this was all he had, he couldn't be their match. Battle. Alien Mother, attack. Wait. Max froze mid-command, nearly falling forward. I activate my set card, quick play spell, Gladiator Beast United. Max was stunned. That's the Gladiator Beast fusion spell. But non-fusion area is still on the field, he shouted, pointing to his continuous trap. Yeah, he's right, Jaden murmured. You can't fusion summon with that in play. Even as a contact method, Gladiator Beast United shouldn't work, right? Bastion didn't have an answer and looked toward Hikaru. He knew Hikaru would explain. Ha! Hikaru chuckled. You guys have it wrong. While it is a fusion spell, and the monster enters properly from the extra deck, things like Chimeratech Fortress Dragon, VW to VWXYZ, and Gladiator Beasts aren't considered fusion summons. Ha! Using monsters on the field as materials and special summoning a fusion monster from the extra deck this way is called fusion, or combination in a broader sense. Still, it's not fusion summon. The monsters are treated as materials, but not for a fusion summon. Wait, what? It sounded like a tongue twister. Cyrus got dizzy. Only Bastion understood immediately, while even Chaz had to mouth it over again. Interesting. Aster Phoenix murmured. So it's a matter of rule interpretation? Exactly. These special fusion monsters follow unique summoning conditions. Gladiator Beast United's effect, during either player's battle phase, return fusion materials listed for a Gladiator Beast fusion monster from your hand, field, or graveyard to the deck, then special summon that monster, ignoring summoning conditions. I return Gladiator Beast Darius and Bestiari from my hand to the deck. Come forth. Pride of the Gladiators. Gladiator Beast Gizzerus. Gladiator Beast Gizzerus, level 6 DARK Winged Beast 2400 ATK. You should know what it does, Fusion Army guy. Ugh, damn. Max cursed. When Gizzerus is special summoned, target up to 2 cards on the field and destroy them. Nice. If he destroys both monsters, he wins right now. Aster whispered. I destroy Alien Overlord in non-fusion area. Gizzerus flapped its wings, unleashing a shockwave that blew away the trap card and the 6-armed alien. What? Everyone gasped. He could have destroyed both monsters and attacked directly to win. Suddenly, they paused and understood. Interesting. Even Max laughed. So that's all you wanted, even in the end? Then show me your fusion. He slammed his dual disc. Turn end. If you don't win this turn, I'll use Code Ancient Ruins next turn to revive Alien Overlord with the 2 remaining counters. You won't stand a chance. No such outcome. Hikaru drew his card and smiled. Here it comes. Continuous spell, Scatter Fusion. This can only be activated while my opponent controls monsters. I send fusion materials from my deck to the graveyard and perform a fusion summon of a non-rock Gem Knight fusion monster. Whoa! He actually drew it. He fusion summoned. Amazing. The Tyler sisters forgot their sides, thrilled to see fusion in action. Even now, Hikaru still sticks to fusion. Jaden cheered. Even while limited, even sealed, even with a chance to win another way, he stays true to his path. That's our Hikaru. Chaz nodded in admiration. Aster calmly shut his phone. Sartorius, looks like I didn't misread things. Destiny brought me here. Fascinating. This is it. I send Gem Knight Crystal and Gem Knight Tourmaline to the graveyard to fusion summon. Gem Knight Prismora. Gem Knight Prismora, level 7 Earth Thunder 2450 ATK. Battle, Fusion Monsters. The bird shrieked, lightning boomed, and under a storm of fire and thunder, Max's life points hit 0. Chapter 136, A Twist Toward Destruction. A Splendid Duel. After his life points hit 0, Max dodged the illusionary impact and let out a sigh. No way. That Amaji Hikaru actually defeated a pro duelist? One Fusion Army student covered their mouth in disbelief. What's so strange about that? Gloria's eyes gleamed with a predatory interest as she locked her gaze on Hikaru. Her silver-haired sister, Grace, smiled elegantly. Pros are still duelists. And as duelists, of course, they can lose. Besides, Max was only here to escort us on our tour. Gloria retracted her gaze and chuckled lightly. Meanwhile, Max had already walked up to Hikaru. Jaden and the others were still cheering for Hikaru's win when Max reached out his hand. Hikaru understood and shook it politely. Fusion till the end, huh? I used to believe in that, too. A hint of nostalgia crossed Max's face. But in the pro scene, you're constantly countered. In the end, for the sake of the company, I had to give up fusion and constantly change tactics. That's understandable. I get it. Hikaru didn't blame him. Everyone had their own paths. As long as you weren't a fraud, Hikaru didn't mind if someone couldn't stick with fusion. Even if Max was a pro duelist from the fusion army, he had obviously never been fully committed to fusion from the start, and Hikaru didn't see anything wrong with that. Actually, recently I've been considering trying XYZ summoning. Many alien monsters use quick special summons and can easily bring out same-level monsters. Max glanced toward the fusion army. That said, in our world, XYZ summoning seems impossible, so I gave up on that too. He considered learning XYZ? That surprised Hikaru. Max took a deep breath. Hikaru's unwavering pursuit of fusion reminded him of his own student days. Back then, he simply loved fusion, while the Fusion Club at the time wasn't anything like the current Polymerization Club. At the very start, it was just a small hobby club. Until one day, Professor Leo Akaba suddenly changed direction and requested a dimensional gate from Kaiba Corp. That was the beginning of the transformation into the current Polymerization Club. He didn't know if Professor Akaba had planned it all from the beginning, or if something happened to spark that shift. Even so, ever since then, Akaba's ambition had only grown. A single academy's fusion army wasn't enough for him. He began spreading into branch campuses, and there were even whispers he was expanding operations into alternate dimensions. Anyhow, that was no longer Max's concern. The pro scene wasn't as glamorous as it seemed. Just protecting yourself from a losing streak was already exhausting. Plus, he didn't have the energy to study new systems. Besides, he hadn't seen Leo Akaba in ages. As a pro duelist backed by the fusion army, Max had reaped their resources and had no right to challenge the current state. He came today just to help escort the Tyler sisters and maybe find Aster Phoenix. His original mission from Professor Akaba was to bring Aster Phoenix directly to the fusion army. Yet, things clearly didn't go as planned. It was odd. The professor had said he only needed to escort him away, so why had it turned into this mess? Max tried to speak with Aster again, but the latter coughed twice and said he came to visit after hearing there was a strong fusion club. Then, when he saw that Max didn't use any fusion monsters, he was clearly at a loss. What a shame. Max knew then and there that his mission had failed. He had no right to force Aster, since in the pro world, Aster was someone Max had to look up to. And just from looking at him, Max could tell this wasn't hesitation. Aster had already made up his mind. Sigh. Should have brought a fusion deck. Oh, right. Here, take this. Non-fusion area? Senpai, I'm not going to use this card. Hikaru frowned as he saw the card. Take it as a token of respect from a senior. Who knows, maybe you'll need it someday. Max shoved the card into Hikaru's hand. Hikaru looked at it, unsure when he'd ever use it, but since it had the word fusion on it, he figured it couldn't hurt to hold on to it. Amaji Hikaru, you're quite interesting. Gloria walked over with the rest of the fusion army, fixing her gaze on him. After watching your duel, both my sister and I are quite excited. Seeing the steel-hearted sisters approach, without arrogance or dismissal, Hikaru couldn't read their intentions. He probed cautiously, and you are? Gloria Tyler. Grace Tyler. The strongest fusion duelist tag team. No one can stand before us. They said in unison confidently, no, with arrogance. What? A tag duel team? Count me in. Jaden shouted as soon as he heard the words. There was no way he'd let Hikaru face a tag match alone. I. Bastion opened his mouth. Ha ha ha. No way we're letting you take this one, Jaden. Let me handle it. Chaz pulled out his deck. I just upgraded mine, been looking for a worthy test. So, Bastion tried to interject again, but the Tyler sisters were already shaking their heads. We're just here to say hello today. Gloria pointed behind her with her thumb. We're students from Duel Academy's American branch, the Fusion Army. This was just a tour. Next term, we'll be transferring here. And then, there'll be plenty of chances, Grace added with a serene smile. When the time comes, we look forward to seeing how well you live up to the title of Fusion Duelists. With one sister laughing heartily and the other softly, they turned and left. Max followed, less like a leader and more like their escort. Shino, next time something like this happens, my advice is to jump in early to claim a spot, Hikaru said to Bastion. Just like I did back when we fought the vampires. A vein popped on Bastion's forehead as he clenched a fist. Yeah, Rex, your presence really is forgettable, Chaz teased casually. Transfer students from the branch campus. Jaden's mind was already running. This next term's gonna be awesome. So, in the end, Hikaru looked at Aster. So, Aster? Yes. Aster picked up his bag decisively. That was an eye-opening duel. I think I will revisit the Fusion Club during the new term, Senpai. Well then, I'll take my leave. He smiled politely. Yes. We've got a new freshman joining our club. Jaden cheered. And it's another hero user. Awesome. We'll get to have tons of the same type duels now. Another hero user? Hikaru watched Aster's departing figure. The first arc of the canon Yu-Gi-Oh! GX was just a warm-up. So, with Aster's arrival, the real game begins. A world-ending scenario is about to unfold. Light destruction. Hikaru silently mouthed the words, mind heavy with foreboding. Chapter 137, Endorsement. Aster, what happened on the island? In a pure white room, Sartorius gently shuffled a deck of cards. Seeing Aster return, he spoke up. It's a bit complicated. Let me explain. Choosing his words carefully, Aster relayed everything from the moment he set foot on the island to all that followed. Such a thing happened, huh? Sartorius's smile never wavered. Perhaps, that too was destiny guiding you, Aster. Destiny? Aster pulled out his deck, staring at the monster names printed across it. That glaring, Destiny Hero, label made his thoughts waver. Then, Sartorius, what is this destiny guiding me toward? Sartorius gently spread the cards across the table. Aster stepped up and drew one, flipping it over. The sun. Sartorius frowned. Upright Sunday. Isn't that card beneficial regardless of orientation? Aster recognized it and looked to Sartorius. He nodded softly. The sun represents light and hope. Light? Light. And with that, Aster understood Sartorius' hesitation. Had it been before, Sartorius would have been worried. This card wasn't necessarily a good omen, it could mean the force of destruction within him was growing stronger and hungrier to consume his body. However, today, Aster had encountered someone, Amagi Hikaru. What did this light truly signify now? Even they couldn't say. Anyway, Aster, it seems you were satisfied with your trip to the Academy Island? Aster nodded. That's good. Don't worry. Sartorius drew a card. It shimmered with radiant light, yet when it reflected in his eyes, it seemed cloaked in thick black mist. As for Leo Akaba, you don't need to concern yourself. I'll take care of it. After all, I am your manager. Whatever you say. Aster smiled and packed away his deck. He still had to head to the next city to continue chasing clues about the man who murdered his father. Back at Duel Academy, inside the Fusion Club, Hikaru slapped a few photos onto the club's blackboard and declared, putting everything together, Aster Phoenix is the legendary Phoenix Man. Oh who? Jaden was too hyped to form real words. How did you come to that conclusion? Bastion was still confused. Yeah, really? Chaz frowned in disapproval. Sure, Aster does travel the world dueling, and Phoenix Man rumors do pop up where he appears. Still, there are also sightings in places where he didn't go, and vice versa. With such flimsy evidence, Hikaru, this sounds like pure speculation. Most of all, he's a famous, undefeated pro-duelist. Why would someone like that go after petty crooks and small-time thugs? It makes no sense. As the group's designated detective, Chaz didn't buy the theory even though his instincts told him Hikaru was probably right. The logic simply didn't add up. After Aster left, Hikaru and the others returned to the Fusion Club. Seeing everyone idle, Hikaru brought up an urban legend, Phoenix Man. According to the stories, Phoenix Man was a hero who traveled the world, catching criminals. Said to arrive amid fiery effects, he was a favorite among hero buffs and lovers of strange tales. Jaden had heard the legend, though never thought to link it to someone as public as Aster Phoenix. More importantly, what about motive? Bastion looked upward, deep in thought. What would drive Aster Phoenix to do this? A strong sense of justice. Jaden shouted. Maybe something from his family history? Hikaru stroked his chin, feigning uncertainty. Of course, he knew. In both the GX anime and manga, young or older, Aster always shared one trait, a father who died under mysterious circumstances. It sounded like a grim joke, and maybe it was. Considering how elemental hero archetypes were likely based on Marvel, their opposite, dark, destructive, brooding characters leaned more towards DC. Perhaps Aster was built as a Batman type. In the anime, someone invaded Aster's home as a child, killed his father, and stole a rare card. What his father left him was the unreleased Hero D series. Ever since, Aster styled himself as a Dark Avenger, punishing card thieves while hunting his father's killer. This stood in contrast to Jaden, who simply loved heroes for what they were. But in this world, things were more complicated. Dimensional development had started much earlier. Hikaru had no idea why this world's Aster might still act as Phoenix Man in secret. News. Big news. Atticus burst into the clubroom mid-conversation, holding up a videotape. Zayn's debut pro match results are out. What? No livestream for Kaiser's first match? Chaz grumbled. Well, he hasn't technically graduated yet. Even if he's high profile, not many would watch, Bastion said. Oh. So, after Hikaru, is it now Kaiser versus a pro? Let's go. Play it. Jaden was fired up. Atticus blinked at the mention of Hikaru versus a pro but shrugged it off and loaded the tape. The footage was a little blurry, though watchable. After watching for a while, everyone sighed in relief. Zayn Truesdale, professional debut, victory. As expected of Kaiser. Chaz had been secretly nervous. Watching the whole duel finally relaxed him. Kaiser really is amazing. Even though Hikaru had beaten a pro today, that was a one-off. Until they saw Zayn win, Jaden had been nervous. By the way, did anyone talk to outside companies today? Atticus asked with a grin. It's only a week-long exchange event, but it's better than nothing. Nope. Me neither. Jaden and Bastion both looked down, disappointed. As for me, Chaz pulled a stack of business cards from his pocket. I got this many. What? Lightning. Did you pay them? Jaden shouted. Heh, Big Bro's a superstar. The moment they heard his name, they swarmed him. Ojama Yellow floated in and chimed. Everyone turned toward him, and the pieces fell into place. So shady, lightning. Jaden banged the desk. Too shady. Twice. Shut it, you pest. Chaz shooed Ojama Yellow away and shouted, this is necessary. I'm going to be the next president of the Princeton Group. Whoa, Chaz, you actually have goals? Atticus said, impressed. So, Hikaru, how about you? Well. Hikaru scratched his cheek awkwardly, while Tiara floated over with a mischievous grin, threatening to spill. Actually, I signed a short-term contract with a ramen company. What? You're already a brand ambassador? But we're still students. Even students outside the club rushed over at the commotion. What? The club president got a sponsor? Hikaru's only a freshman and already got a deal? Even Kaiser didn't do that. Hikaru grew more flustered, trying to explain. It's just a short-term deal, and I still have to duel one of their appointed duelists. If the flavor I create isn't good, they won't accept it. Plus, I need approval from Professor Magitek, and I'll have to visit the Spellcaster village. If he refuses, the whole thing's off. Regardless, his classmates had already started cheering. None of them were thinking that far ahead. After all, in their eyes, Hikaru never loses. Jaden looked to the sky and dreamed aloud, I wonder if there'll be shrimp tempura flavor. I'd love that. That means we'll have endless ramen and can spend all our money on card packs. Joining the Fusion Club is the best decision of my life. I'll even get my brother to join. Hold up, your intentions are too obvious. Your brother has to like Fusion at least. He will like it. Hikaru won't let you through with that. As his classmates erupted in chatter, Hikaru tilted his head, thinking. Now that he considered it, maybe it wasn't such a bad idea. Always eating curry was getting a bit dull, having ramen once in a while might actually be nice. Plus, it meant more budget for materials and cards. Maybe he could even upgrade his battle gear like Aster. With that thought, Hikaru stopped resisting the idea of partnering with the ramen company. Chapter 138, The Mountain. Huff. Huff. Hikaru took deep breaths. He was standing in a fairly lush jungle, surrounded by towering ancient trees and various treehouses. Around these structures bustled peculiar lifeforms in strange garb, some in full wizard robes, others in sci-fi tech gear. Despite their wildly different outfits, they mingled harmoniously with no sense of discord. Lord Amagi, are you feeling any discomfort or unease? Captain Crystal stood before Hikaru, seemingly having waited for some time. Upon seeing Hikaru arrive, he asked. Don't worry, I already checked everything. Tiara floated beside them, glancing around. Despite her assurance, Hikaru still gave himself a once-over. After confirming he was in one piece, he bounced lightly on his toes to test his energy. Seems fine? Hikaru said, stretching out his body. He looked up at the symbol behind him, a green sigil, unlike the usual dark dimensional gates, the very portal that he had arrived through in this world. Naturally, Hikaru was now in the place he'd visited once before, the village of spellcasters. After building his own dimensional gate, Hikaru first had Captain Crystal teleport over, using the Emerald Book to maintain communication and confirm his safety. After a few successful tests, he began human transmission. Throughout the process, the Philosopher's Stone ensured Captain Crystal could be forcibly pulled back, otherwise, Hikaru wouldn't have risked its spirit body experiment. Thankfully, Professor Banner's guidebook, an idiot-proof dimensional gate blueprint, proved easy and reliable. As long as the process was followed correctly, everything worked fine. Compared to the school's limited-use gates, building and managing his own meant greater autonomy. Given Hikaru's high spirit compatibility, he could now handle a couple of dimensional trips a month harmlessly, letting him travel to other dimensions outside of Academy-sanctioned use. Now that the gate was complete, he could do this every month. If his compatibility improved or Tiara regained more components, his monthly limit might increase. Of course, the latter wasn't easy since Hikaru lacked the rare materials Tiara needed. Just creating Permise last time had cost him a rare Kaiba card, Gen X controller. Until he acquired more base materials, restoring Tiara was on hold. Hikaru found the magical scientist, who was busy with a large experiment. Only after it ended did Hikaru get to explain recent events. Surprisingly, the magical scientist was fully supportive of Hikaru's plan to co-invest ramen tech with his instant fusion cup ramen. All he wanted was regular updates on product sales. Of course, Hikaru wouldn't freeload. He signed a contract allowing mutual access via the Emerald Book, syncing the scientist's computer to the human world and sharing half the profits. While many spirits had no use for human currency, the magical scientist had an interest in buying tools and samples from that world. So he agreed without reluctance. More importantly, Hikaru had come to this dimension for one major reason: a card trade with the magical scientist. While last time, he hadn't had the chance, this time, Hikaru brought excess cards like Fusion Substitute, Metalfoes Fusion, and Gemknight Fusion to trade. The scientist was eager to study them and, in return, opened his binder for Hikaru to pick missing fusion monsters. After the fusion of his card Galaxy Serpent into Armityle the Chaos Phantasm, some of his cards had become linked to the Dark Hex-sealed fusion and others to fusion monsters like Sea Monster of Theseus. While searching through the binder, Hikaru finally found a copy of the fusion monster Dark Fiend Skull Dragon, useful as instant fusion material or for situational plays. Its effect-restricting flip summons wasn't bad either. Hikaru then brought up something he hadn't had the chance to ask before: how exactly did the spirit world break? As a high-ranking spirit, the magical scientist frowned and shook his head. "It's not that I don't want to tell you," he said helplessly. "Though I have some standing in the village of spellcasters, back when it happened, I was deep in research and missed the whole phenomenon." After that, the three sages investigated it directly. Even so, each of them encountered strange events. Crowley even went berserk and nearly became a monster, if not for a passing alchemist who saved him. So that was it. Hikaru now had a better idea of how Professor Banner met Alistair. Since then, the collapse of the spirit world became taboo among magicians. Besides, with their ability to travel across dimensions, life went on mostly unchanged. Few had the motivation to uncover those secrets. "I see." Hikaru nodded. After seeing Aster and thinking about the Light of Destruction, he remembered what Vampire Fräulein once said, that the spirit world was now fully fractured into scattered microdimensions. He'd already suspected Yubel might be behind it. After all, in canon, she caused massive disruption just trying to find Jaden. In this world, she hadn't been launched into space, instead ended up in another dimension. Her causing trouble there was entirely plausible. So Hikaru planned to ask high-rank spirits about it. In the end, no one knew anything. It looked like he would need to explore the spirit world himself. He remembered the first puzzle Professor Banner had left him: coordinates of the mountain. No additional clues. No poetic hints. Just the mountain. A place where dragons, winged beasts, and thunder monsters gather. Chapter 139, Message from the Spellbooks. Having finished his exchange with the magical scientist, Hikaru was ready to leave. Although being able to travel between dimensions twice a month was an incredible privilege for a student like him, his spirit compatibility was still low, so even with Tiara's support, he was only at 6-star rank, and staying too long would affect his next trip. Plus, the magical scientist hadn't prepared any new endgame puzzles, so Hikaru wasn't planning to stick around. He would rest a few days, then use R.A. Yellow's dimensional gate to check out the mountain. If the village of spellcasters was home to spellcaster-type spirits, then the mountain might attract winged beast, dragon, and thunder spirits. It wasn't Dragon Ravine, still, since it was a field spell linked to those tribes, maybe he'd encounter some ancient spirits. With that in mind, Hikaru wasted no time. After agreeing to return in 2 months to challenge the scientist's new puzzle, he prepared to leave. However, just as he was about to exit the dimension, Tiara glanced back and warned him, "Hikaru, don't rush back yet." "What is it?" "A spirit is coming to see you." "Wait, seriously?" Hikaru was surprised. In the village of spellcasters, dueling spirits usually required formal applications. He hadn't expected anyone to seek him out. That said, when he turned around and saw who it was, he realized, oh. A spellcaster-type spirit in a blue robe and mage hat, panting and holding a glowing spellbook. At first glance, it wasn't obvious. Once recalled, Hikaru recognized the figure. Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. A once meta-defining monster in the Spellbook series, a powerful low-level card that could fetch any spellbook spell card. Even in the timeline before Hikaru transmigrated, people still used this card to search things like Spellbook of Knowledge or Pot of Greed-like combos. In a nutshell, a deck-thinning expert. Still, with no connection to fusion, it was definitely not a volunteer ally. No such luck. Phew, so undertrained, the magician puffed, fanning himself. "Hello," Hikaru greeted. "Were you looking for me?" Assuming it was just a random encounter, he stayed polite. Ah, yes, close call. The magician straightened his robe, coughed, and looked up. You must be the fusion summoner from another dimension, heir to the peerless alchemist Amaji Hikaru, correct? Why yeah. Hikaru flinched at the title. That was embarrassingly grandiose. Excellent. Excellent. The magician flipped through his spellbook. Let me formally introduce myself. I am a magician of the Grand Spellbook Tower, Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. Though Hikaru already knew, he nodded anyway. Our academy is devoted to spreading spellbooks so that all mages no, not that one. He flipped a page. Right, here we go. Lord Crowley sent us to find you. We heard you were in the village of spellcasters, and I was dispatched to deliver his message. Crowley? Tiara tilted her head. Didn't Injection Fairy Lily mention Alistair was also called Crowley? Indeed. Crowley is Alistair, and Alistair is Crowley, the magician confirmed cheerfully. Wait, you came because of Professor Banner? The magician nodded. Yes. Lord Crowley wanted me to inform you your teacher has successfully reached the realm of the spellcasters. You've been to the warrior's realm, yes? Then you know it's the closest realm to the underworld, guarded by Pharaoh's keepers. Hikaru let out a breath of relief. That duel with Professor Banner had been rough. He hadn't used the Philosopher's Stone, and had even attacked Hikaru's friends. Even so, Hikaru understood he just wanted to test their growth. If Banner had been possessed by Yubel, the light of destruction, or darkness, and fought them for real, Hikaru wouldn't have taken it lightly. He wouldn't just sit and lose, but it would have hurt to fight for real. So what now? He asked. Reincarnated, the magician said, stroking his chin. I haven't visited the realm myself, so I can't say for sure. But per Lord Crowley's message, your teacher will become a top-tier spellcaster. That wasn't explained in detail, but Hikaru understood. If Crowley said that, then it had to be a 10-star or stronger magician. Maybe even 12-star. Not that the spellbook magician dared say that out loud. Hikaru was overwhelmed for a moment. His teacher was reincarnated as a powerful spirit, no longer at risk of corruption. That alone was worth celebrating. And the higher ranked the spirit, the more memories it retained, right? Like Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl, who ultimately remembered being Mahad in Mana. He'd tell the others back at school, it would ease their minds. Was that all? Hikaru asked. Oh, one more thing. The magician pulled a card from his book and handed it over, a spell card inscribed with strange glyphs. What is this? Spellbook Tower's coordinates? The magician shook his head. That's already recorded in your Emerald Book. We wouldn't dare give them out prematurely. Fair enough. This is our Academy's certification card. If you ever want to challenge a mage, show this at the Exchange Guild. He pointed toward a building in the distance. This will grant you access. Whoa. Hikaru was thrilled and a little regretful. Thrilled because now he could duel rare spellcaster spirits, regretful because aside from wanting to fight Alistair, he didn't need much else. He already had Dark Magician from the Fusion Army. Alistair had said they'd only duel again once Hikaru found the realm of the spellcasters. He clearly wanted to stay by Banner's side. Still, better to have it than not. If he ever got cards like Endymion, the mighty master of magic, or Gravekeeper's supernaturalist, he could always come back. For now, though, he needed to rest back in the human world. And go tour that ramen company. Chapter 140, The Legendary Duelist. The company interested in signing a contract with Hikaru was a ramen company named Funglo. In scale, it was tiny, barely making a dent on the global market, but precisely because of its size, it was willing to meet Hikaru's demands. After all, Hikaru's proposal was a new recipe, already branded as Instant Fusion Cup Noodles. A technical investment like this was not something they had prepared for prior to visiting Duel Academy. Who would expect a dueling-focused academy to produce something like this? Hikaru felt they were too naive. In this world, a duelist was synonymous with elite and genius. He was confident that their RA Yellow's Professor Sartor, the curry demon himself, could create curry they'd never even dreamed of. Anyhow, once they heard that Hikaru had acquired the recipe from another dimension, their attitude shifted. On one hand, Hikaru, though still a student, had literally participated in world-class duels, and had become the first in recent years to defeat a cross-dimensional duelist. His fame, for the time being, was significant. On the other hand, the other dimension was the new gold rush. A recipe from there, obtained from a dual spirit? As long as it wasn't inedible, it was guaranteed to attract attention. Finally, there was a bit of prestige involved. Hikaru was only a freshman, yet he'd already dueled on a global stage, while Zane Truesdale had just claimed his first win in the pro circuit. Undoubtedly, Duel Academy students were worth investing in. Plus, if it were for someone like Hikaru, who had gone viral for saying fusion is the noblest summoning method, found future success, the company could boast they recognized his potential first. One afternoon, after getting Professor Growler's sign permit, Hikaru took a boat to Funglo's Southern Island factory, there to tour the facility and test his flavor prototype to see if it was actually edible. While Hikaru was being shown around, a loud argument erupted from the other side of the factory. Wasn't it agreed that I would be the face of the brand? Who the hell is this random kid? Ah, so sorry, Hikaru, the woman escorting him said with an awkward smile. That's one of our promotional duelists. We planned to invite him tomorrow to meet you. Didn't expect he'd show up unannounced. This way, please. But it was too late. Staff failed to restrain the man, and he came storming over. Hikaru blinked. The man looked familiar. His red cap, scruffy hair, and green coat over a yellow shirt tugged at some distant memory. Hmm. Ah. Mr. Rex, you're here today, the woman tried to ease the tension. Your presence truly honors our humble factory. Cut the crap. We agreed I'd be the lead spokesperson. What's going on here? Mr. Rex, yes, that was the plan. That said, our company needs to grow, and this doesn't mean we're canceling your contract. Hikaru finally recognized him. Rex Raptor. A character from the original Yu-Gi-Oh!, known for his dinosaur deck and also for one very unfortunate stat, never winning. In the manga, Rex was humble even in defeat, warning Joey Wheeler to be cautious of psychic powers after losing to Esparoba. Despite constantly getting duped by Weevil Underwood, he still considered him a friend. All in all, he was a straight shooter who knew how to lose with grace. Hikaru vaguely remembered that near the end of the series, Rex was living on the streets in pretty dire straits. While Rex was arguing with the staff, another explained things to Hikaru. Turns out, when Funglo was starting out, they lacked a duelist face for the brand and were mocked for it. Therefore, their promotional campaigns flopped until they partnered with a then-struggling Rex Raptor. Despite his poor rep, Rex was still a legendary duelist. A legendary duelist? Hikaru raised an eyebrow. Seriously? Then again, the Paradox brothers only dueled Yugi and Joey once and were called legends, while Rex had dueled Joey multiple times and even held the Red Ice Black Dragon at one point, so it wasn't too much of a stretch. He only got wrecked because he always fought top duelists against weaker foes or pros. He probably performed decently. Hikaru asked a few questions and learned that ever since Rex began endorsing Funglo's products, his win rate had improved. He also took his image seriously now, cut ties with Weevil, and lived a disciplined life, occasionally helping Weevil find work but keeping his distance otherwise. After thinking it over, Hikaru concluded. Rex Raptor had done nothing to deserve being sidelined. In that case, I think Rex Senpai is right. Ha? Kid? Rex stopped mid-rant and turned to face him. Hikaru cleared his throat. It's simple. If you're willing to dump a decade-long contract just because I'm currently more popular or came from another dimension, what's to stop you from buying me out in the future for someone even shinier? Why should I accept that risk? We'd never do that, Hikaru, the staff panicked. We never said we were ending Mr. Raptor's contract. Didn't we say we'd talk terms tomorrow? Everyone rushed to explain how long the contract was, how it had never changed, how much they valued Rex, and so on. Eventually, even Rex began to cool down. He had gotten worked up fast. After years of homelessness, he had a new outlook. Thanks to Funlo, he got his life back. Losing this role might not put him back on the street, nonetheless, it scared him. And when he saw that the rising star in front of him was that Amaji Hikaru, who'd defeated an interdimensional duelist, he panicked even more. He never expected Hikaru to defend him. For someone who had nothing but the title of legendary duelist, that support meant everything. Despite that, one matter still remained. This company was his new home. "Oi, kid," Rex called out. "Yes, Rex-senpai?" Hikaru replied respectfully. "Let's duel." He raised his arm, and his old-school duel disc clunked into action. Hikaru didn't hesitate, he put down his backpack and strapped on his own duel disc. "Mr. Raptor, Hikaru? No need to duel now, seriously. We really just want you both on board." The staff started panicking again. "Quiet," Rex smirked. "Let duelists speak with duels. When it ends, the answer will be clear. Kid, you feel the same, right? An honor to duel a legendary duelist. Then, duel. Amaji Hikaru, LP, 4000. Rex Raptor, LP, 4000. That wraps up this part of What If Fusion Deck User in a Different Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.